She hasn't texted back. You stare at your phone. Hours feel like days. Your mind starts to race. What happened? You thought the connection was real. You felt it. And now? Silence. But what if I told you this silence isn't rejection? What if her distance isn't the end, but a test? In this video, you'll understand exactly why women pull away when they're most emotionally invested, and how a grounded man doesn't chase, he rises. Support this channel if you're tired of advice that confuses you, weakens you, or lies to you. Here, we build men. And by backing this message, you're helping countless other men rise from silence into strength. Now, let's begin. Number 1. She's testing the man behind the word. When a woman starts to feel emotionally close to you, when she starts to believe that you might actually be different from the rest, she doesn't always move forward. Sometimes she pauses. Sometimes she goes quiet. She might stop replying as often, take longer to call back, or seem more distant than usual. To the average man, that feels like rejection. But to the man who understands female psychology, it's the beginning of the most important test he'll face. This test isn't one she announces. She doesn't tell you, "I'm about to see if you're who you say you are." It's silent, subconscious, but powerful. She's seen too many men talk the talk. Too many men say the right things, show up at first, then fall apart the moment emotions get intense. So when she senses that her heart might actually be opening, her system kicks in with a defense mechanism. She pulls away. She's not trying to manipulate you. She's trying to feel your core. And the only way to feel it is to step back and see what you do. Will you panic? Will you beg? Will you chase? Will you fold emotionally the second she's no longer giving you instant validation? Because if you do, if your energy becomes unstable as soon as she becomes unavailable, she sees what you're made of. And that's when the attraction she felt begins to drain. You need to understand, women don't test to destroy attraction. They test to verify it. She wants to see if what she sensed at the beginning, the grounded strength, the calm presence, the masculine leadership, was real, or if it was just performance. Because any man can sound powerful when everything is easy. Any man can play confident when she's giving him attention. But who are you when she suddenly stops? When her texts slow down? When the affection pauses? That's when the real test begins. And how you respond matters more than what you say. The majority of men fail this test because they interpret her pause as a problem. They instantly assume they did something wrong. And in trying to fix what they think they broke, they begin doing things that actually erode the attraction. They double text. They overcall. They post stories just to get noticed. They start explaining themselves when no explanation was asked for, and all of it reeks of insecurity. That insecurity is what tells her, "He's not the man I thought he was." But you must be different. You must see her silence not as a threat, but as an opportunity. It's your moment to prove that your emotional balance doesn't depend on her behavior. It's your moment to show her, not through words, but through energy, that your peace is not tied to her presence. That even when she steps back, you stay firm. You don't chase, you rise. When a woman pulls away, she's looking for your stability. She's watching to see if you need her reassurance to be okay. Because if you do, she knows she can't lean on you in the long run. But if you remain calm, if you move forward in life with focus, if your energy stays centered, she feels it. And that feeling, even in silence, draws her closer than any perfectly worded message ever could. This is not about playing games. It's about embodying strength. It's about becoming the kind of man who doesn't collapse under emotional pressure. The kind of man who doesn't get rattled every time a woman needs space to feel. The kind of man who provides emotional gravity, not emotional chaos. So what do you do when she pulls away? You do nothing externally. Internally, you recenter. You breathe deeper. You move with more purpose. You double down on your discipline. You go to the gym. You sharpen your craft. You elevate your routine. You don't try to force her closer. You let her feel what it means to be near a man who doesn't flinch. And if she doesn't come back, she was never meant to. But if she does, and she will if she's truly invested, it'll be because she realized you're not like the others. You didn't chase. You didn't panic. You didn't fall apart. You passed the test. And now she knows. This is a man I can trust with my heart. Number 2, she wants to feel your gravity, not hear your desperation. In the moments when a woman withdraws, when she slows down communication, stops calling, or suddenly creates emotional distance, your instinct might be to explain. You want to talk. You want to fix. You want her to know how much you care, how you're still committed, how confused you are. But the truth is, that urge to explain usually comes from one thing: desperation. And desperation is the fastest way to kill attraction. What most men don't realize is that when a woman pulls back, she doesn't need your words. She needs to feel your gravity. She needs to feel that you're still a force, still grounded, still composed, still focused, even when she disappears. That's what creates safety in her subconscious. Not your long texts, not your emotional monologues, but your unwavering energy when she stops feeding you emotional signals. Desperation, no matter how honest it feels, tells her one thing: you need her attention to feel whole. That's never attractive. It's not just unattractive, it's suffocating. Because now you're not a man creating value in the world. You're a man orbiting her mood. You've stopped being her equal, and you've started acting like her emotional burden. When you start asking, "Did I do something wrong?" or "Are we okay?" or "Why are you pulling away?" even with good intentions, you shift the dynamic. You move from presence to pursuit. You abandon your grounded center to chase something outside yourself. And while it might feel like you're fighting for the relationship, she doesn't see it that way. She sees you losing the very thing she was drawn to: your strength. Here's what women crave: mystery, leadership, emotional control, and a man with a powerful presence that doesn't require her constant engagement. They want to feel like they're being pulled into your orbit, not that you're begging to stay in theirs. They want to feel like they've entered the gravitational field of a man whose life is so full, so focused, and so rich with meaning, that any moment spent with him is a privilege, not an obligation. So how do you shift from desperation back to gravity? First, you stop trying to get a response. Stop trying to get closure. Stop trying to get anything. Shift from receiving to radiating, from waiting to working, from explaining to evolving. Don't send that emotional text. Don't ask where things are going. Don't flood her with reminders of your worth. Show her by being the man whose energy doesn't bend under pressure. This is not passive. It's active inner discipline. Instead of pleading, you pivot. You reestablish your routines. You focus on your goals. You get your physical, mental, financial, and spiritual life tighter than it's ever been. You become a man in motion, a man so immersed in purpose that her silence becomes a small echo in the backdrop of your mission. When she feels that kind of stability, her instincts shift. Instead of pulling away further, her curiosity comes alive. She starts wondering why you didn't react like most men. She begins to question whether she misjudged your strength. She remembers the version of you that stood out from every other man she's known. And in that moment, her attraction reawakens, not because of anything you said, but because of everything you didn't say. Let your gravity be louder than your words. Let your silence be filled with action. Let your stillness speak volumes. Because when a woman feels that your emotional presence remains rock solid even when she backs away, she doesn't just respect you, she desires you more. Desperation seeks approval. Gravity pulls everything back without saying a word. Number 3, she feels your energy shift. Women don't just listen to your words, they read your energy. Long before she asks, "What's wrong?" she already feels that something is off. She can sense subtle changes, the hesitation in your voice, the uncertainty in your tone, the way your once grounded presence begins to wobble under the weight of your own thoughts. You don't even have to speak. Your silence alone tells her everything. And when you start needing more from her emotionally than she's offering, that energy becomes loud, louder than anything you type or say. This is where most men get lost. You think if you just phrase your messages better or explain how you feel, things will go back to the way they were. But it's not about your words. It's about what your energy says when you're not speaking. Are you calm or anxious, focused or scattered, confident or needy? The moment you begin to feel unsettled because her behavior changed, she can feel that shift, even if you pretend everything's fine. Your woman is tuned in to your emotional frequency more than you realize. She doesn't just notice how often you text, she notices why you text. Is it a natural flow from your grounded life? Or is it coming from a space of fear and insecurity? Are you reaching out because you're whole and leading your life? Or are you reaching out because you're starting to need her response to feel okay? She doesn't need proof of your confidence. She needs to feel it radiating from you, especially when she steps back. But when your entire emotional world starts to orbit around her distance, she knows it. And her feminine nature responds in the only way it knows how. It creates more distance. Not because she's trying to push you away, but because she's being pulled back by your need for reassurance. Understand this. She is not looking for a man who follows her emotional lead. She's looking for a man who leads himself so powerfully that she can trust his presence. When you lose yourself in reaction to her silence, you've already given her your emotional power. You may think, "I'm just showing her how much I care." But what she feels is that you've stopped being the grounded, sovereign man she was initially drawn to, and have now become someone emotionally dependent on her behavior. This is why silence is so dangerous for men who haven't yet built inner stability. Because in that silence, your overthinking becomes louder. You start analyzing her every word, every pause, every emoji, trying to make sense of a shift that's happening on an energetic level. And without realizing it, your thoughts create tension that leaks through every message, every tone, every action. She feels it, and the more she feels it, the more she disconnects, not to hurt you, but to protect herself from a man who is no longer emotionally strong. The solution is not to push harder or seek answers. It's to slow down and return to yourself. Women are not attracted to men who cling. They are attracted to men who are deeply anchored. When your energy is balanced, composed, and present, even when she's distant, she feels that. And it's that feeling that brings her back. Not because you asked her to, but because your presence reminded her of who you were before the insecurity crept in. So ask yourself, what has shifted in me? Have I gone from leading my mission to obsessing over her reaction? Have I stopped pouring into my purpose and started pouring into anxiety? Am I reaching out to connect, or am I reaching out to control? Your job as a man is not to manage her emotional state. Your job is to master your own. The more you lead your internal world with calm strength, the more she'll feel safe returning to you. Not because you chased her, but because she felt your presence even in your silence. Women don't need perfect men, but they crave consistent ones. Men who hold their frame, men who lead themselves, men whose emotional state doesn't change based on a few unread messages. Because when you hold that energy, still, solid, unshaken, she starts to wonder if she ever really saw all of you. And that curiosity pulls her back in, stronger than any words ever could. Number 4, your reaction defines your value. In the moments after a woman pulls away, whether she stops texting, delays calling, or becomes emotionally distant, your next few moves speak louder than anything you've said before. Most men don't realize this, but that brief period of silence isn't just a pause. It's a magnifying glass. Everything you do or don't do gets amplified. Your reaction in that moment becomes a direct reflection of your inner strength, or your lack of it. This is where the real test begins. And make no mistake, you are being observed. Not necessarily on a conscious level. She may not be sitting around thinking, "Let me see how he reacts." But her emotional system is tuned to notice your energy and behavior under pressure. She's not looking for perfection. She's looking for proof. Proof that the man she was attracted to at the start still exists when things aren't easy or emotionally rewarding. Many men crumble here. They reach for their phones in panic. They overcommunicate. They type long, emotional paragraphs trying to explain their feelings. They seek answers that were never asked for. They ask, "Did I do something wrong?" They post for attention, call friends for advice, or replay every word they said like it holds the secret code to unlock her affection again. And every one of these reactions sends the same message to her subconscious. This man isn't solid. He needs my validation to stand upright. Let's be clear. Women don't withdraw to be cruel. They withdraw to feel your gravity. Your response shows whether you're a man who leads himself or one who's led by emotion. If you lose composure the moment she changes, it tells her that your strength was never self-sourced, that your calmness was only stable as long as she was close. And if she senses that, her feminine core instinctively pulls away further, not because she doesn't care, but because she no longer feels safe, surrendering emotionally. Now understand this. Your value in her eyes isn't built during the high points when everything is flowing. It's built during the pressure moments, when she tests, when she pauses, when she leaves you hanging. If your reaction is rooted in confidence, stillness, and quiet self-possession, her attraction doesn't just stay intact, it deepens. Why? Because you're proving that your energy is not dependent on her attention. You're showing her that your emotions are governed by purpose, not panic. This is not about ignoring her or playing hard to get. It's about protecting your emotional authority. It's about being the man who doesn't need to explain or justify his stillness. The man who knows his mission, holds his boundaries, and moves forward regardless of temporary emotional storms. You see, in that silence, she wants to feel your strength, not your fear. She wants to sense that you're a rock, not a reed swaying in the wind of her moods. If you can't handle her pullback, how can she trust you with the emotional storms that come with real intimacy? If your identity shakes every time she becomes uncertain, how can she anchor her trust in you? You have to train yourself to see the test for what it is, a chance to rise. Don't react impulsively, don't chase, don't try to fill the gap with words. Let your actions speak through inaction. Let your discipline become your language. Let her silence be the space where your power becomes undeniable. So what should you do instead? You hold the line. You go about your day with more structure. You train harder. You sharpen your goals. You show up for your commitments. You elevate the way you dress, walk, speak, and move. You become a man in motion, not an emotional reaction. You lean so heavily into your personal mission that the absence of her text becomes background noise, not a life-interrupting emergency. And here's what will happen. She'll feel it. Not just hear about it, feel it. She'll notice that while she pulled away, your power didn't drop. Your presence didn't fade. In fact, it grew stronger. That's what awakens a woman's curiosity again. That's what makes her think twice about walking away. That's what triggers her to reach back, not to be chased, but to reconnect with the man who remained unshaken. Because in a world full of men who flinch, the one who stands still becomes unforgettable. Number 5. Your power is in the pivot, not the plea. When a woman you care about starts pulling away, your first instinct might be to close the gap, to fix things, to try and talk your way back into connection. That urge feels noble. It feels courageous. But what you may not realize is this: your desire to plead your case, to explain, to express, to chase, is often the very energy that will push her away further. Because at the core of pleading is fear, fear of loss, fear of being forgotten, fear of not being enough. And that fear speaks louder than any logic. She may hear your words, but she feels your fear. And no woman, no matter how kind or loving, feels safe leaning into a man who needs her presence to feel whole. This is where most men spiral. They try harder. They message longer. They ask, "Why are you distant?" They offer reassurance even when none was requested. But what they don't understand is that this isn't the moment to explain yourself. This is the moment to pivot. Pivoting doesn't mean giving up. It doesn't mean ignoring her. It means turning your energy back inward, back to your foundation. It means returning to the version of yourself that she was first attracted to. The man who was mission-driven, focused, in control, unshaken. That's the man she respected. That's the man she felt magnetized by. And if you want to rebuild that attraction, you don't do it through pleading. You do it through transformation. The pivot is powerful because it's silent. You don't announce it. You don't post about it. You just do it. You look in the mirror and ask, where did I stop leading? Where did I start reacting instead of building? Where did I begin prioritizing her energy over mine? Then you move. Not emotionally, physically, mentally, spiritually. You structure your days. You clean your space. You train your body harder. You increase your standards in how you eat, how you sleep, how you speak. You refine your schedule. You sharpen your skills. You build something. You wake up and show up. Not to win her back, but because you're done waiting. And slowly, as your actions begin to speak louder than your absence, something shifts, not just in her, but in you. You stop seeing her silence as an emergency. You stop letting her emotional weather dictate your mental climate. You become so engaged in your own evolution that whether she returns or not becomes less important than the man you're becoming through the process. This is the paradox that most men never learn. When you chase, you lose power. But when you pivot, you become the man she starts chasing again. Not because you manipulated her, not because you played games, but because you became valuable again. Not to her, but to yourself. The most attractive energy in the world isn't charm, it's momentum. It's a man in motion. A man who is building something with or without her applause. A man who rises not because of a woman's attention, but because he's locked into his mission. If you want to rekindle desire, don't ask for more of her. Become more of you. Level up so aggressively that the version of you who once pleaded couldn't even recognize who you are now. Let her silence be the spark that forces you back into focus. Let her distance be the reminder that your path is your power. And if she doesn't come back, good. Because the man you've become by pivoting forward is on a higher path. A path where you no longer beg for closeness. You attract it naturally through presence, through purpose, through power. Your plea makes her retreat. Your pivot makes her remember. Number 6, she returns to the man who doesn't crumble. There's a moment every woman remembers. It's not the flowers you sent. It's not the texts you wrote. It's not the compliments or the gifts. It's the moment she pulled back and you didn't chase. The moment she distanced herself and you didn't collapse. The moment you stopped showing up to her inbox, but started showing up more powerfully in your life. That moment is unforgettable. This is not a tactic. It's not manipulation. It's not some reverse psychology game. It's the raw truth of masculine energy. The more you lean into your own strength while others pull away, the more you become a gravitational force. Women don't crave more words. They crave more stability. They don't want emotional chaos. They want a man whose peace is immune to their storms. So when she pulls away, whether it's for a day, a week, or longer, most men instinctively panic. They go into emotional survival mode. What did I do wrong? Why isn't she responding? How can I win her back? And in doing so, they hand her the one thing she's unconsciously testing, their power. But the few men who rise, they don't panic. They pivot. They move deeper into discipline. They build muscle, not just in the gym, but in the mind. They upgrade their standards. They improve their posture, their presence, their emotional vocabulary. They become more of the man she was drawn to in the first place, not through effort to impress, but through the integrity of self-respect. When you hold your ground in the face of silence, you say everything that needs to be said, without a word. You communicate strength. You declare that your world doesn't pause for emotional uncertainty. You show that you can carry your emotional weight without outsourcing it to her. And when she feels that, something primal awakens inside her. She starts thinking, if he's this solid without me, what happens if I return? You see, most men unknowingly shrink when a woman retreats. They slow their lives down. They make space for her absence. They stare at the phone, waiting for a message that may never come. And in that waiting, they dissolve into the very version of themselves she was silently testing for, the man who needs her to stay emotionally strong. But the rare man, the Stoic man, expands in her absence. He doesn't just wait to be remembered. He makes himself unforgettable by what he becomes. He adds more value to his life, more depth to his thoughts, more power to his presence. And eventually, she doesn't just remember him. She wonders how she let him slip away. That's when she returns. And it's not because you begged. It's not because you manipulated. It's because she felt your emotional independence, because she saw that her silence didn't break you, because she realized that you've become even more attractive, more grounded, more magnetic, not because of her, but in spite of her distance. And even if she doesn't come back, you haven't lost. You've won something far more valuable: your emotional sovereignty, your self-leadership, your inner fire. And that version of you? He attracts at a different level, a better one, a level where women don't leave as a test, but stay because they feel the rare peace of being next to a man who cannot be shaken. So remember this: Women don't remember the men who chased. They remember the men who rose. They remember the stillness, the silence, the unapologetic self-respect. And when they return, and they often do, it won't be because you asked. It will be because you evolved. She returns to the man who doesn't crumble. You don't need to chase what you are. When a woman pulls away, you rise. You don't ask for validation. You show it through presence. You don't crumble in silence. You expand through it. Because real strength isn't loud. It's still. It's steady. It's seen when you keep moving forward without losing who you are. Remember, the man she respects is the one who never begged for it. He simply became undeniable. If this message woke something up in you, if you're done reacting and ready to rise, comment "Unstoppable" below. Subscribe, like, and share this video with a man who needs to hear this today. By supporting this channel, you're helping bring clarity, strength, and direction to thousands of men worldwide. Together, we build stronger men. Let's keep rising.